Yeah, Buzz, your 25% shooting, how much of a function of that was what Georgetown was doing, or you guys missing shots that you maybe would make normally?
Yeah, I will always give credit to the opponent in every possible way. I thought they were physical from start to finish. We didn't handle their physicality very well. 42% of our shots were in the charge circle, and we made 33% of them. And so we have to finish at a higher rate regardless of the shot, but particularly when you're that close to the rim. We got fouled at a high rate, which was encouraging. We did a good job making free throws, but categorically the rest of our shot diet was good. But other than free throws, we just didn't shoot them at a high percentage. And so Georgetown can play at all times defense except when we're shooting free throws, so I'll give them credit.
And their 30 points in the paint, emphasis on that, not let them touch the paint, or kind of how were they able to?
Yeah, in many respects, we got to the paint and didn't finish. They got to the paint sometimes in a different way, whether it was off the pass or off the bounce. But we got to the paint, or to the charge circle. Shots attempted in the charge circle 42% of the time, and they were 49% of the time, which is too high of a percentage. Too high of a percentage.
All right, Joshua here on the right.
Hey, Coach. Yesterday you mentioned defending without fouling. You opened the game with 3 fouls to begin the game. Can you just give your thoughts on the opening?
Yeah, I don't know exactly why that was stirring in my heart as much as it was. I mentioned it to our team on Thursday. Can we play to get fouled? Because I think that's going to be important relative to our roster makeup. And then can we defend without fouling? We always, like all coaches, we want to make more than they attempt. We made 30 free throws. Statistically speaking, if that's the only stat you knew, you would think that it would be a really close game, if not a win. 50% of our points came from the free throw line. So we do need to get fouled, but we have to defend without fouling. And to your question, to start the game, it's 11-2, timeout Maryland. Change the players to start the second half, and it's 2-10, Georgetown again. So in those 2 8-minute segments, or 2 4-minute segments, the game was 21-2 Hoyas. And so we fouled too much, and we didn't get fouled. And I think that only time will tell. I'm not a genie, but I do think that we have to defend without fouling more, and we have to play with a shot selection thought process collectively of we want the team to be in rotation, whether that's by throwing it to the post or getting it to the post off the bounce, so that we're shooting uncontested threes more and or we're getting fouled. And most fouls occur at the rim, and that's where we were fouling, and that's where we were also getting fouled.
Alex in the back.
Hey, Buzz, back here. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
I can imagine tonight's not the result that this group was hoping for, but what's your message to your players in terms of, looking forward and moving on from this game and improving from it?
Well, it's the first week of the season, and what we're trying to do is continue to create the right environment for them to learn, the right environment for them to develop. I think we've made some strides. I think our staff has been outstanding. We had 9 days in between our scrimmage and our exhibition, and then we had 7 days. Obviously, we follow NCAA rules relative to days off, but in real time, 7 days off from the exhibition to our first game in Baltimore. I think our guys are beginning to understand what we're trying to accomplish. And instead of it being my opinion all the time, I've tried to, as we're laying the building blocks foundationally, like he just asked on, can we defend without fouling? Instead of just saying those words, I've tried to analytically show them some evidence so that they can understand it, and then give them some measurables so that as we're going, like we talked about it at halftime, some specific numbers, and then that's what we just finished talking about there. So I think there's been some growth. the environment was incredible. The student section, the genre of people that were here, regardless of season ticket holders or because they were excited about the rival game, we're grateful. I just didn't think that from start to finish, we competed with the edge that you have to have. But I do think that we've made some strides. You can't play 32 minutes of many college games that we're gonna play and have a chance to win. But removing the first 4 minutes, if you could, from each half, it was a different game. And so we've got to figure out maybe how we warm up, maybe what I say or don't say, because what I said pregame didn't work, and what I said at halftime didn't work. And so I think the consistency of our competitive stamina, physically, mentally, and emotionally, we have to continue to accrue more consistency.
Tom in the back.
Coach, maybe it was asked before, but are you looking to continue this rivalry or relationship further on? Can we expect to see Georgetown, Maryland versus Maryland? Can we expect to see that year after year now?
I probably can't answer it as the new guy. I'm not exactly sure why there were decades of not playing, but I love Coach. Obviously, I've known Coach for a long time, and he's in year 3 of what he's building. We're in week 1. I understand the importance of it. I don't have a problem with it, but for me to say it's done, I don't really know how this game even was created. Did we play at Georgetown last year?
No,
Next year.
gonna hop in.
Sure.
So this is the first of a 4-game series, Tom.
There you go.
So we play at
Okay.
Georgetown next
That's
year.
why I didn't want to answer, because I knew I'd say something wrong.
There you go.
So it will continue. All right.
Thanks, John.
No problem. Marcus.
Hey, Coach, I know fast break points isn't always an indicator of pace, but you only had 4. Do you think that this particular roster needs easier baskets in transition to get it to where you want it to be?
Yeah, I think the problem specific to tonight, yes, sir, I don't know that you will categorize us as a fast team. I think tonight our transition volume rate was in the mid-20s. We're probably a low 30 team in truth. Our problem tonight was they were putting so much pressure on the rim that we've got 4 guys down there trying to figure out how not to let them get a layup. We didn't do it very well. And so that is going to slow your pace going the other way. And the other thing, from just a thought process relative to pace. So we want to make free throws so that we get our defense set in hopes that we can shorten their game and lower their transition volume rate. But in order for our transition volume rate to increase, we're gonna have to do a better job of getting consistent stops. So we call 3 stops in a row a turkey. Monday night, we had 8. Mathematically, you will win 98.7% of your games if you get 3 stops in a row. Tonight, we had 2 in the first half, and we had 1 in the second half. And so the end result of that is they're putting a lot of pressure on the rim, but also we're taking the ball out of the basket a lot too. And so not just Maryland, any team, if that's happening at a high clip, it's gonna be a slower game.
All right, Dave in the back.
Was the comeback 26-13 run you guys went on in the second half? What do you feel keyed that, and how encouraging was it to see that when things were bad?
I thought, I understand that we will be judged in accordance with the results, and I understand the importance of every home game and the success that Maryland has had. And I also understand the importance of the rivalry and the history of that rivalry. I think in that run, my answer without watching the tape is the same thing that I just mentioned to him. The reason it was 26-13 is that's when we were getting consecutive stops. And so we were able to play in a broken floor more. And I also think that the tenacity that we played with in those stretches needs to be closer to that from start to finish. And I don't think that I would say that our guys stopped, but we weren't prepared to play with that level of juju from start to finish. I thought there were stretches, that stretch you're talking about, it was better. I think we were down 5 at half, and we started the game down 11. So we made some strides. And then we're down 5 at half, and they scored 10 and we scored 2. So now we're down 15. I guess we're down 13, whatever that is, whatever the math is on that. It just, as we continue to figure this out, what I've tried to tell them, and I've tried to make sure my actions match my words, I'm coaching you for who you're gonna become. I'm not coaching you for who you are today. Who we are today is we lost. And we lost because we didn't do the things that we know that we're gonna have to do in order to have a chance. But if I'm only coaching them because it's 5 days into the regular season, then I'm failing them for their future. And so we've got to continue to coach them and teach them and hold them accountable for where they're gonna be. And sometimes that's hard to deal with, but they have received that in a very positive way.
All right, 2 more questions here on the left and then Eli.
Coach, when I first encountered you, you were with Marquette, and literally I was in.
How do you think I've aged?
You're not as volatile as you once were.
Is that positive or negative?
It's positive. But I was really I was shocked at your embrace, your early embrace of real dialed in stats. I mean, you were like an analytic guy when no one was an analytic guy. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, sir. This was before all of the analytic groups came in, and I didn't talk about numbers at the rate some coaches were at that time, and so I do a poor job. I've tried to improve. I've hired people to teach me. I watch every press conference. I take notes. I'm just not really good in this environment because my brain is fried, my emotions are out of sorts, and I try not to say things that I'll regret. But I spent an inordinate amount of time before Moneyball became Moneyball trying to figure out how can you win games. Not that I thought that I was going to be the coach at Maryland or even at Marquette. There's been a lot of people that have helped me when I didn't deserve it. But even one of the second question tonight, like our shot selection, to your point, statistically speaking, we didn't make the shots that we need to make at the rate. But if you only think about our shot diet, what percentage of our shots did we shoot in the charge circle? What percentage of shots did we shoot from 3? What percentage of shots did we shoot wood 2s? If you looked at our shot diet, all of it would be green, as in good. If you looked at the percentage, hey, 42% of our shots, we had 5 toes in the charge circle, we made 33%. You're not gonna win a game when you make 33% of your layups. The thing that hides it is our points per possession only has a chance to be in the realm of this being a game, is that we 20% of the time when we had the ball, we got fouled, and we made 80% of our free throws. I have felt this coming. A couple of the student radio newspapers have been asking me, like, you're shooting a bunch of free throws, and I don't ever want to come across arrogant or egotistical. Yeah, we're going to have to shoot a lot of free throws. But our shot selection is red light, green light, and we kind of define what that is, and we watch other teams. Guys, is that a red light shot? Is that a green light shot? And you can now hear them, since we taught them that in practice. That was red light, that's green light. And I told Diggy yesterday, when you go to a stoplight in Jersey, do they have a red light? Yes, sir. They have a green light? Yes, sir. What's the other color? Yellow. I'm in charge of yellow. And so we're making strides. We've just got, after week 1, I think we we're trying to solve problems at a fast rate. And we have solved some problems, but the problem is we have a litany of problems.
Thank you.
Last one to Eli, on the right.
Hey Buzz, Eli Cohen, Integrity Sports. Just with Miles' first game of the year, what stuck out to you most with him and what was most impressive?
We need Miles to play, and we need Miles to play with a low turnover rate. We have a turnover rate problem. We don't need him to be 1 and 4 going the wrong way. We need him to be 4 and 1 going the right way. To his credit, he has missed significant reps of practice, but I do think his IQ is high, and I do think that his speed changes our team, whether we're trying to play fast or not. But offensively, our Maryland needs to play with as low a turnover rate as possible, and particularly the primary ball handler. And I think he will do that. And I'm glad that he's healthy, and we need consecutive weeks of our team being healthy so that we can play 5-on-5 in practice, so that there can develop some level of yin and yang from an offensive and defensive standpoint.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Players, appreciate it.